we'll now move to the much awaited Virali is already
Yeah.
all excited.
I'm scheming against you, Gaurav.
Okay, so
that's okay. My theory on this is that even if I fail, I learn. So
Exactly.
So I'm not worried about this at all.
No experience is a bad experience, is what I say.
Yes.
Well, good, Gaurav. I'm glad you have the right attitude going into the rapid fire round. All right. Okay. Let's get started. If I'm not sure how to address a PWD, what should I do?
I should ask.
You should ask how they would like to be addressed.
How would you like to be addressed? I would ask.
You would ask. Okay, very good. Virali, Kanchan, has he scored a point here or?
Yes, he has, but the way to address me is to say...
Sorry, Kanchan, go ahead.
So I said the only way to address me is to say, hi, Kanchan. There's no need of saying, and blind woman. Nothing. There's no need. Just hi, Kanchan would be good
Every
enough.
person has a name, So address them by their name.
My understanding of this question was after the name, if I need to have a conversation about the particular disability. However, moving on.
Virali, did you, other than the thumbs down, which you can keep as standard for the duration of the entire quiz?
Okay, nice. I'm just going to be...
There's no way Gaurav's going to win this one. No,
no. When in doubt, call me by my name. Yeah.
And that's all. I think that's the sort of rule that applies. It applies, I think, around the world for everybody. So I think persons with disability is no exception. When in doubt, address them by their name.
So Antony, when Gaurav is introducing me to somebody, hi, he's not going to say hi, meet Kanchan, a blind woman. He's going to say hi, meet Kanchan, a solicitor. Okay, and then if it's necessary, then and she cannot say.
Exactly.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so it looks like Gaurav, you have not done a bad job in question 1. Is a common way of addressing all PWD okay? I mean, what do you think?
That's an interesting one. Is a common way of addressing all PWD okay? So I would take this from the first answer, right? Just address people with their names, right?
Okay, I think that sounds about right. Virali, apart from the thumbs down, anything else you want to add?
No. I don't want to add anything.
Kanchan?
No. So Gaurav, you cannot bump us all together. You can't say all the disabled people in the room. Okay, that is a no, please.
Okay. So
distinguish, try to see what you have to say directly to the person if you can. Don't lump us all. No good. Okay.
So I think the question really, Gaurav, was about addressing, or if there's a bunch of persons with disability, sort of getting them, putting them all under one umbrella, so to speak, and that would not be right.
Let me come to my defense. The question is framed as saying, is a common way of addressing all PWD okay? All PWD in it doesn't ask me if they're all present, if everyone is present in one.
Gaurav, you're not a lawyer.
Yeah, no. So this question sits with the assumption that I'm addressing a bunch.
Okay, fine. Blame us for it. We'll take.
I think this is
loopholes. You're finding loopholes.
No, I mean this has to go on Rainmaker's.
Fine. We'll be the fall guy for this one. We'll let you off the hook. But yeah, you heard Virali, right? I mean, the jury is still sort of not entirely exonerating you.
The jury's still out.
Yeah. Is it okay to ask a PWD what's wrong with you?
I would.
And we already have the answer from one juror, but go ahead.
I would ask it as part of a conversation. As part of a conversation, I would.
But I don't think you should ask this question. What's wrong with you? Don't ask that question. No. You would want to, if you're talking about their disability and if they're open to talk about it, then you can ask, how did you become injured? How did you become injured?
So there's a sensitive way to ask the question.
Yeah.
Right, Virali?
Of course, I won't ask saying what the hell is wrong with you. Of course, I would not ask it like that.
I've had people ask me that. I've been like,
Of
nothing's
course,
wrong with me. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, of course. I'm not going to ask someone what's wrong with you by saying what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kanchan.
So let me explain this. So once I become friends with Virali,
which may take a few centuries at the rate you're going. Let me tell you that.
No, that's okay. It might actually be faster than you think, Antony.
All right.
Once I become friends with Virali, I could very well have a conversation with her about what led to her being on a wheelchair. That's what friends do. They would talk to each other about it. So I would not ask what's wrong with you, but once I get to know Virali, I would definitely feel comfortable in asking, right, Virali, what incident led to you being on a wheelchair? And I would want to know about that because she's my friend.
Correct.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's my response to this question.
Okay.
Again, I think Rainmaker's phrasing needs to be go through.
No.
Lawyer.
We are not going to take the fall for this one, Gaurav.
Loopholes.
Kanchan, what do you think?
So sure, Gaurav, you can ask the question, phrase it differently, but ask it. But you don't need to ask it necessarily on your first meeting with Virali. Okay, though first a Zoom meeting today, but no, you can't do that immediately. You don't need to do it. See, would you do that?
This is exactly what I said. Once I become friends.
Yes. So you just spend that time. Could be the second meeting. It could be later also, but it depends on whether you really need to know.
Yeah. So I'm talking about as conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I give Gaurav like a half rating?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, Virali and Kanchan don't. Gaurav is going to constantly try and put this on Rainmaker. Don't fall for his.
He's trying to find loopholes.
Gaurav, you've got to do better at the quiz, man. Be more sensitive. All right. So with a half mark each from Virali and Kanchan, you just about make the grade on this question. But yeah, lots to learn. Okay. The next one. Gaurav, is girl in the wheelchair or wheelchair bound appropriate? Since you intend to be friends with Virali, you better get this right, buddy. And you can't blame Rainmaker for the question.
And you cannot find loopholes in this question.
No.
No.
And why is that?
Because she's a person.
Okay. All right. Virali?
I'll give you a good answer. I approve of this answer. Let me kind of just rephrase this a bit. I am a person, but my spirit is not bound by my wheelchair. So that's why I'm not wheelchair bound. I'm a wheelchair user.
And let me elaborate on that. My friendship / acquaintance / relationship with a person on the wheelchair is not wheelchair driven. I mean, wheelchair centric. It's because we connect as we have friends as people. So I would not describe a friend as that a man without hair, for instance, as a bad example.
A bald guy.
Yeah. So the premise of the relationship is not.
No, but I think, Gaurav, the question is a little different. If you had to, for example, you and I are standing in a room at a conference and I'm pointing out somebody to you and I want to say, hey, look at that guy that bald guy standing in the corner there. He's the guy I was talking to you about. Likewise, if you wanted to point out to somebody else who's on a wheelchair, the appropriate, even if that person can't hear you, the appropriate term to refer to that person would be wheelchair user as opposed to girl in the wheelchair or wheelchair bound. Yeah. Would that be fair, Virali and Kanchan? Would that be appropriate way of describing somebody, even if they are not hearing what you're saying?
Yes.
Kanchan, any thoughts, inputs, feedback?
No, on fun, no, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So, Virali and Kanchan, how has Gaurav fared on this one?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Oh wow.
Satisfactory.
So maybe he's just he's getting the hang of it finally.
Yeah. And I think I'm making progress with that friendship plan with Virali.
I think that's happening.
All right, Gaurav. So is handicapped parking lot appropriate?
Nope.
And why is that?
Well, I have to. I won't do the classification in that way.
But you'd have to refer to it some way or the other, right? I mean, you can't put your car in that slot, for example.
Yeah.
So what would you call it? I think Virali and Kanchan are quite enjoying.
We're really enjoying. I can just
really loving it.
I can see Kanchan smirk on her face.
Yeah. Kanchan's been smirking all through, by the way.
No, not smoking.
Oh yes, you are, Kanchan. You're smoking.
No, I don't smoke at all. I never smoke. So that's my nature.
Go ahead, tell me what the right answer is.
You want to do Virali? Tell him.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess this is personal preference. I would call it a disabled parking space, is what I would call it. But I mean, let's just be real. India mein kahan hai?
India mein hai hi nahi. It doesn't even exist.
So fir...
So the correct word would probably be accessible. Okay.
Yes. You're right.
The right space, and slowly, it's coming.
Okay, I have seen it in a few malls actually. Maybe 2 or 3 slots, not too many, 2 or 3 slots, which are accessible parking lots.
So to be completely honest with you guys, this is the first time I've heard it described as that.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this usage in a parking lot at all.
No, because the handicap word has gone long ago. See, handicap was cap in hand, like a beggar walking around. No, because he was disabled during the World War II. And that's as old as the term is. So we stopped using handicap anymore.
In fact, Kanchan and Virali, I think a lot of the terminology, whether it's a parking lot or a lift or a toilet, accessible is the word, right? A facility that can be accessed comfortably. And that's where this word accessible is really coming into the, sort of dictionary, if you will, in all of these situations. So accessible is really the word that is now coming into usage. Okay, fair. So Virali and Kanchan, I think Gaurav hasn't done too well here, but...
No, I did well.
Yeah.
You did?
No,
Okay.
You didn't give an explanation. No,
you said you got half a point because you got the no right. That is true.
But explanation नहीं दिया ना आपने.
Explanation नहीं दिया ना.
पर ये accessible parking lot वाला explanation मेरे को strike भी नहीं किया मैडम.
चलो ठीक है. You have learned something new. You have learned something new.
Again.
बख्श दिया.
ठीक है. Okay. Very good. Is handicapped toilet appropriate? I think by now you should know the answer to this one.
Yeah. I think if I answer yes to this, then Virali will put her hand through the Zoom call and strangle me.
Because you haven't learned anything in all this while.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So what's your answer? Absolutely not is your answer. Okay. And what would be the right term for this?
The term that we used for the parking lot.
Very good. You forgot. That's what.
No. Of course I did not. That I think was a left-handed blow on me. Of course I did not forget that it's called the accessible toilet.
You got it. You learned.
No. That is because it's on screen now, Kanchan, but I completely knew that it was. Yeah, my memory isn't so bad that I would forget something that was in the previous answer. Just
I'm a lawyer. I do cross-examination, so I can.
I know. In fact, I was just thinking to myself, I wouldn't want to be, on the wrong side of you when you're cross-examining a witness. That's for sure.
I wouldn't want to cross with Kanchan. I can just tell she's like very khatarnak
Oh my God.
types. I wouldn't want to get across with you.
Sounds so
Okay,
terrible.
very good. So Gaurav will give you full points there since you got it, even though you don't remember accessible.
I did, of course.
I mean it in the best way possible, Kanchan.
Sorry.
Okay. No. Can a non-disabled person be called normal in the context of disability?
No.
Okay.
Because it assumes that the disabled person is not normal.
Fair enough. Virali? I see an approving smile on Virali's face.
Agreed.
Full marks.
Full marks. Oh my God. Well done, Gaurav Kalra. Well done. Okay. A person without a disability is appropriate. Okay, fair enough. Good job. Which is more appropriate, disabled or differently abled?
Okay, can I come at this from my lived experience, from a personal sort of the experience of having worked with sports, or covered, not worked.
You can,
covered.
as long as you convince the jury. Virali and Kanchan have to sort of be convinced.
So,
but go for it.
In my view, differently abled is has been more appropriate because we've used it in our reporting.
Okay. Virali and Kanchan?
And Kanchan, to give the argument here before you say, is that it works, it doesn't work on the assumption that an ability is better than another ability. The ability of a sports person with all 4 limbs functioning is a different ability. The ability of a sports person with who does their sport with 2 limbs is a different ability, hence differently abled. That's my logic for it.
Who wants to take this first? Kanchan, do you want to go for it?
You go, start.
Yeah, ask. Thank you. Again, this is a very individual choice, okay? Like I said, my disability, my body, my label. You do not get to decide what to call me. For me, I find disabled more appropriate because I believe that everyone has a disability. And what does being disabled mean? Being unable to do something. You are not Albert Einstein. I am not Stephen Hawking. I can't do everything in this world possible. So yeah, I do have a disability. Forgetting about the physical aspect of it, you also have a disability. A lot of people have invisible disabilities. True. We can't tell. You can't tell. So I believe being disabled is probably one of the most normal, quote unquote, things in this world. You can become disabled like this in a car crash, for example. You
don't have to be born with a disability. You can acquire one later on in life as well.
Exactly. So I find differently abled, that term specifically, it kind of diminishes everything that I've been through, all of the struggles that I've been through, being called differently abled. You're just sugarcoating it. So
is there an element of condescension in the term differently abled? Sort of a bit like Divyang? Yeah.
I believe so. Yes.
Kanchan?
Yes, she's right. See, internationally, we prefer person with disability. Okay, that's how we use it internationally. In India, especially able, differently able, Divyang, etc. are used. And people are happy with these terms. So I will not discredit Gaurav for what he said, but I prefer person with disability. And I don't mind person with blindness also. I have no problem with that as well. We have to decide our own terms, but disability comes from a barrier, an inability to do something because there's a barrier put in by somebody else. If there were no steps, Virali would be from point A to point B, she would reach. It's only because she's disabled, she cannot do those steps because there are steps. She cannot get from point A to point B. So that's why she's disabled. But this is something you have to keep understanding. But yes, if in the context of sports, if you have 2 different sports and 2 different disabilities being training for the sports or playing those sports, then yes, they're differently able from each other, definitely. But it's for Gaurav to decide that, whatever he wants to take.
Fair point. Okay, so the answer, Gaurav, I think which is really what Virali and Kanchan have kind of summed up. Depends on the PWD. Better to ask them which they prefer. That said, I think as they rightly pointed out, terms like differently abled and Divyang and so on and so forth are very unique to India. We seem to kind of relish in giving these kind of terms. I think in the Western world, Europe and the US particularly, I think disabled is what works. And maybe that's just what we should stick to. I think my personal preference, especially after the law has been passed and the term persons with disability seems to have acquired, sort of found its way into our language and usage. So I'm comfortable with that, and I think that would be the right terminology. Is what Virali and Kanchan are also saying. Persons with disability, and I think that's really what would work best.
When it comes to India, we just try to be more politically correct rather than actually focusing on the issues at hand.
Yeah.
We are just changing the terminology from Viklang to Divyang to specially abled, specially challenged, physically challenged. I mean, we have so many different terms, and there's no work that's visible. I mean, what I can see, what I have seen so far, there's no work that's being done in actually elevating these situations, these issues. So who is making me disabled? Like Kanchan said. So disabled is my preferred term.
Absolutely. And Kanchan, one very quick question for you. So you personally prefer person with blindness, but or person with disability. So is visual impairment also fine, or is that to refer to somebody with a person with blindness?
No. So impairment would be a person who has some vision, some vision. Okay, so he's impaired. His vision is impaired. It's less.
So it's a technical difference in terms of when to use visual impairment and when to use person with blindness, depending on the degree of impairment. Yeah. Understood. Okay, helpful. I didn't know that, and I'm glad I asked because that is good to know. Okay, wonderful. So jury members, how has Gaurav fared on this one?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Ish.
Virali as whatever.
I think Virali's doesn't need to actually pass this thing. I just have to read her face to.
To tell. Yeah. That's true, actually.
I'm very expressive, but the commentary is for Kanchan.
Virali, sorry, we lost you for about 10 seconds. I think.
Okay. I was saying, I am very expressive, but the commentary is specifically for Kanchan.
For Kanchan. Understood. Okay. Understood.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay, very good. Are PWD poor, brave, courageous, superhuman? Gaurav, hint for you is we kind of discussed this in the last question.
No, none of the above.
None of the above? Okay. All right. Jury members, do we ask Gaurav to elaborate, or is that good enough?
Gaurav?
Maze lete na, elaborate.
So Gaurav, explain that a little more.
I'll just stay with human.
Gaurav, I'm not brave. I'm not courageous. How can you say that? I am.
Hello. I am Iron Man. I have Iron Man over here.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna treat you like just another person, so that's okay, right?
Thank you.
Sweet, how sweet.
All right, okay, Gaurav. I think you've fared very well there. Jury members.
So this was the interesting thing, Virali and Kanchan, from the entire Paralympics movement. It kind of it kind of lays emphasis on the superhuman side of things from the point of view of making the distinction that athletes reach the point of elite level competition, but even before reaching that point, their achievements are superhuman, which is not the description used for the Olympic movement. And if you know the The distinction made is you become superhuman when you become, Usain Bolt and you run the 100 meters in 9.58 seconds, but you become superhuman simply by reaching the Paralympic. This is a distinction actually made by the movement. So maybe, I think that as the understanding of the kinds of things we've been talking about grows, that's another level of understanding that needs to permeate down the way sport is talked about when it comes to, when it comes to Paralympics and kind of disability sport, etc.
So you're right, Gaurav, because it's not true that Usain Bolt becomes famous only when he becomes, he does the speed. Okay, but just to get to that point, I remember that young lady, Nadia Comaneci, okay, Romania, 1976. And oh my God, how much they had to put in. And that's an example. I was a small kid. I could watch it on television, those that I could see. So, well, we saw that. And that's always reference mark. And all the, whether you're looking at tennis or any of the games, they work really, really hard to get to that point to be there. So whether you're para or whether you're the regular ones, you're doing that effort to get to that point. And it is a lot of cases you see that they come from poor backgrounds, they come from difficult areas. I think there was a sprinter whose body just couldn't move actually, and how she actually did it. I'm forgetting her name, but most of these people have achieved greatness, this Paralympic or otherwise, much before they actually win the game. That's the pinnacle, but it's Mount Everest for them.
True.
So fair to say, Virali, Kanchan, that those para athletes who really make it there, definitely they are superhuman and should be treated as such. And then there are, of course, the rest of the persons with disabilities who are not superhuman, who are just regular human beings, going about their daily existence. Is that the distinction that is sort of being drawn?
No.
Fine. It's a fine line.
Hmm.
It's a very, very fine line, I believe. No. I mean, I don't have anything else to add on to this, but I mean, I do understand where you guys are coming from, what you're saying, but no. We're just humans at the end of the day. We're just humans.
Yeah. I think there is a tendency in when it comes to describing sport to be a little hyperbolic. It's got nothing to do with disability or not.
We tend to glorify sports people regardless.
Sport then tends to get described in these terms. They are very easily used terms in sport.
Yes, but if you're a CEO of a company and there are 20 of you who've gone through IIM Ahmedabad or something, and one of you becomes a CEO of some company, all of you are not going to become, all 19 are not going to become CEOs. Doesn't mean that you haven't worked so hard to reach there. It's been difficult, right, for everybody. And for the CEO to become CEO, also there is a difficult position. So whether he's disabled, non-disabled, it doesn't matter. But the effort that is put in is tremendous for everybody. And therefore, he doesn't become superhuman and the rest not
Fair
so.
point. Very fair point. Yeah, okay, that makes sense actually. All right. Okay. I'm not sure how many more questions are there. I've actually lost track, but I'm going to move a little faster so that we can complete this. And I think, Gaurav, again, a hint for you here.
No, I don't need hints.
Kanchan has answered this previously. People often ask the PWD's caregiver what he, she, they will eat. Is that appropriate?
No, not at all. And actually, without the story Kanchan told about being sort of quietly asked for a friend being asked whether you'd have a drink or what's on the menu and all of that. I think this is something that is fairly well ingrained in day-to-day living for me. I would not. I don't think I would ever wrongly answer this because I would always ask the person.
Virali, Kanchan, he scores well here.
Yeah.
Full points.
Yeah. Only with Virali, I might actually have to ask someone around her because now I'm properly scared of her. So
Oh my God! Hello, just because मेरा surname Modi है, डरने की बात नहीं है.
Oh, actually, I didn't even think of that. But
there's that too. There's that too.
There you go.
All right, good. are all PWDs sensitive concerning their disability?
No. If I've learned anything in the last hour and a half, yeah.
Good. You're learning.
He's
You're
learning.
Yeah, he's a quick learner. That Gaurav is. That's for sure. Okay. So always ask directly rather than assume. So that's really the takeaway from this one. I think we'd kind of already answered this one, right? Why is wheelchair bound not appropriate?
Yes, we've covered this.
We have covered this. Okay. And that brings us to the end of all the questions and also of this session. So Virali, Kanchan, Gaurav, thank you all so much. Really, it's been actually a lot of fun for me. I've really enjoyed this, particularly the quiz bit and watching Gaurav squirm and all of that. That was
come on, I did quite well.
That was pure entertainment. But no,
entertainment.
Kidding aside, really it was. I mean, I continue to learn. So a big thank you to both of you, really. And I think the main objective for us really is to continue to try and make a difference in, even if it's just one person who learns better etiquette or better sort of manners. For us, that's a job well done. In which case, today it's Gaurav, but hopefully this set of videos and clips will be seen by a few more, and it will hopefully influence the way they converse or behave with persons with disabilities. So that's really our objective. Before we sign off, any last comments, thoughts, Virali, Kanchan, Gaurav?
I have.
Go for it.
Gaurav, this emoji is for you. The party hat wala.
Okay. So that means now we are friends.
You still have to work for it, okay?
थोड़ा और मेहनत करना पड़ेगा Gaurav.
It's work in progress. But thank you.
No, it was fun. It was fun.
It was fun, and and a truly a learning experience for me in in sort of just. I think it's about it's as much about just listening and imbibing. You may do things wrong, and I don't think people come from a bad place when they do things wrong. I think you don't come from a bad place if you just start pushing a wheelchair, a person with who's on a wheelchair. If you start pushing him, you don't come from a bad place. But now I have an understanding of why that is not
totally inappropriate.
So,
yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad.
Thank you.
Kanchan?
Thank you, Virali. Thank you, Kanchan.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it was a very, very good initiative. I think we should do some more sessions like this. But I hope it's useful and some others get employed. And I hope people's mindsets change accordingly. Thank you both.